What times to avoid fishing during tides? Have you ever wondered when the best times are to cast your line and when you should just relax instead? Let's talk about the times to avoid fishing during tides and how it can impact your catch. The key times to steer clear of fishing are around the high tide and low tide slack water phases. Slack water is that brief moment when the tide changes direction and the water movement slows down or even stops. During these slack tides, fish tend to be less active. Why? Because there is minimal current to bring in food, making it harder for them to feed efficiently. Let's break it down further. First, consider high tide slack. This occurs just before the tide begins to fall. During this time, the water movement slows significantly. Fish often reduce their activity because the current is weak, which means fewer feeding opportunities. Now let's look at low tide slack. This happens just before the tide starts to rise. Similar to high tide slack, the water movement nearly comes to a halt. Fish may retreat to deeper waters or areas that are harder to access. This retreat reduces their feeding and movement, making them less likely to bite. Fish relying on moving water to bring in bait fish, crustaceans, and other food sources. When the water is stagnant, they conserve energy and are less likely to chase after prey or strike at lures. In contrast, the best fishing times are during the incoming and outgoing tides. When the tide is rising or falling, the water movement is stronger. This stirring action brings food to the fish, which attracts them to feed actively. Seasonal and weather factors also play a role in fish behavior. In colder seasons or during early mornings when water temperatures drop, fish activity naturally decreases, regardless of the tide. On the other hand, warmer water and overcast or rainy conditions can boost fish activity during moving tides. 4 practical fishing strategies. Avoid planning your trips during high or low tide slack periods. Instead, focus on fishing during the first few hours of the incoming or outgoing tide. This is when fish are more actively feeding. Using tide charts can help you identify when slack tides occur. Schedule your fishing around these times for better results. Also, keep in mind that local geography can affect slack periods. Some areas may experience shorter or longer slack times, and fish behavior can vary accordingly. To sum it up, the times to avoid fishing during tides are the slack water periods around high and low tides. During these moments, fish are less active due to minimal water movement. Targeting the moving tides instead aligns with fish feeding behavior and can increase your chances of a successful catch.